Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight. Men might look tough on the outside, they might act like they got it all figured out, but deep down, every man is trying to see what kind of woman he really has by his side. And don't get it twisted, I'm not talking about games, I'm talking about the real life test men put out there, sometimes without even realizing it. A man wants to know if you're the type of woman he can build with, grow with, and trust with his heart. And the truth is, if you fail these tests, he may never fully invest himself in you. But if you pass them, that man will give you everything he's got. A man may look like he's got it all together, like he's strong enough to carry the weight of the world on his shoulders, but deep down, he is always watching, always noticing how a woman reacts when life doesn't go as planned. One of the biggest ways men test women is through patience. It might not be something he talks about out loud. It might not even be intentional all the time, but believe me, he's checking to see if you can handle the delays, the struggles, the waiting periods, and the parts of life that don't move on your schedule. Because patience is not just about waiting, it's about how you carry yourself while you wait. See, a man understands that life is going to hand him some storms. He knows there will be seasons when his money isn't where he wants it to be, when his career is moving slower than he thought, when he doesn't have all the answers. And when those moments hit, he wants to know what kind of woman is standing next to him. Are you the type to start nagging him, pressuring him, and making him feel like less of a man because things aren't moving fast enough? Or are you the type who knows how to encourage without complaining, who knows how to hold your peace and trust that his effort will eventually pay off? That's the patience test, and many women don't even realize they're taking it. Patience is powerful because it shows whether your love is tied to convenience or to commitment. Anybody can love during the easy times. Anybody can clap when the checks are rolling in, when the vacations are booked, when the life looks glamorous. But patience is what reveals who can love during the tough times, when the bills are tight, when the nights are long, when the vision is still being built. A man doesn't just want to know that you're with him when he wins. He wants to know you're still there when he's working on the victory. And let me tell you something, patience isn't silence. Patience doesn't mean you don't feel frustration. It doesn't mean you don't want things to move quicker. But patience means you know how to express yourself without tearing him down. It means you don't lose faith in him just because the blessing hasn't arrived yet. It means you trust a process enough to stick it out. Because here's the truth. A man who sees that kind of patience in a woman is a man who will move mountains to reward her when he finally reaches his breakthrough. Men don't always say it, but they notice the little things. He notices if you roll your eyes when he talks about his dream again. He notices if you sigh when he says he needs more time. He notices if you keep comparing him to other men who seem further ahead. That right there can break a man's spirit. But when you show patience, when you remind him that you still believe in him, when you show him that you see not only who he is today, but who he's working to become, that gives him strength like nothing else. Patience doesn't just test you, it builds him. It fuels him. It makes him fight harder because he knows he has a woman who won't abandon him in the middle of the climb. Patience is also about emotional control. See, men pay attention to how you react when you don't get your way. Do you explode? Do you throw tantrums? Or do you find a way to keep your peace while expressing your needs with grace? That's a test. Because if every small delay, every small disappointment turns into chaos, he's going to wonder if you can truly handle the pressures of real life. Life is not smooth. Love is not smooth. Relationships are not. Patience is what proves whether you can bend without breaking. When a man sees a patient woman, he sees a future. He sees stability. He sees someone who can walk with him, not just on the red carpet, but also on the rocky roads. And that, more than beauty, more than charm, more than anything else, is what will secure his heart. Because a man knows that looks fade, excitement fades, but patience will carry love through every season. Respect is one of the deepest needs of a man, and many women don't even realize how closely he pays attention to it. You can tell a man you love him all day long, you can cook for him, you can give him affection, but if he feels disrespected, none of that will land the way you want it to. Respect is oxygen to a man's soul. It's what fuels him to keep going. It's what makes him feel like he can face the world. And it's one of the quietest but strongest ways men test the women in their lives. A man will watch how you speak to him in the heat of the moment. Anybody can speak sweet when things are good, when you're laughing and having fun, when money is flowing and love feels light. But when there's disagreement, when you're upset, when he hasn't done something right, this is when the test of respect shows up. Do you still talk to him in a way that honors him? Or do you tear him down with your word? Do you argue in a way that focuses on the problem, or do you attack his character? Do you roll your eyes, talk over him, dismiss his opinion, or do you listen even when you don't agree? These things may seem small, but to a man, they cut deep. Men are wired to lead, to protect, to provide, and with that comes a need to feel respected. When a man feels disrespected, he pulls back, he disconnects, and he won't give his best. He doesn't want to pour into a woman who makes him feel small, but when he feels respected, he becomes greater, stronger, more confident, and more motivated. Respect doesn't just benefit him, it benefits the relationship, because a respected man will fight harder for his woman, for his family, and for the life they're building. A man will test your respect by noticing how you handle disagreement. For example, when he makes a decision you don't like, do you embarrass him in front of others, or do you pull him aside and speak privately? That's a test. When he shares a dream, do you dismiss it as unrealistic, or do you at least give him the encouragement to try? That's a test. When he's in a low season, do you compare him to other men, or do you remind him that you still believe in him? That's a test. He doesn't need you to agree with everything he says, but he needs to feel that even when you disagree, you still respect him as a man. Respect is not about silence, it's not about letting everything slide, and it's not about holding back your voice. In fact, real respect includes being honest, sharing your opinion, and holding him accountable, but doing it in a way that builds instead of destroys. A man doesn't want a yes woman. He wants a partner who can challenge him with grace. Respect is shown in tone, in timing, and in how you choose your words. You can say the same thing two different ways, and one way will shut him down while the other way will lift him up. That difference is respect. Another way men test respect is through observation of how you treat others. If he sees you being rude to waiters, talking down to people you think are beneath you, or being two-faced in how you treat friends and family, he's going to think twice. Why? Because he knows eventually that same disrespect will come his way. But if he sees that you treat people with kindness, with patience, with humility, he will trust that you can carry that same spirit into the relationship. Men also test respect by seeing how you handle their vulnerabilities. When he finally lets you see the side of him that's insecure, the side that doubts, the side that feels weak, he's watching to see if you'll use it against him. If you throw his struggles back in his face during an argument, that's disrespect at the highest level. But if you protect those parts of him, if you cover him instead of expose him, he will know you're a woman he can trust with everything. Respect is not just a test, it's a foundation. A man can live without many things, but he cannot thrive without respect. He may stay around for a while if he feels loved but disrespected, but eventually he will check out, because no man gives his whole heart to a woman who makes him feel small. Respect tells him he is valued. Respect tells him he is capable. Respect tells him he is safe with you. And when a man feels respected, he will move mountains to make sure you never regret the love you give him. Loyalty is one of those things that every man looks for, even if he never says it out loud. A man may not always ask for it directly, but trust me, he is always watching to see if you have it. Loyalty goes far beyond just not cheating. It's not just about being physically faithful. It's about where your heart is, where your support is, where your commitment stands when things are not perfect. A man wants to know if you are the type of woman who will ride with him not just when he's winning, but also when he's struggling. That's the real test. And a lot of women don't even realize they're being tested until it's too late. See, any man can get people to show up when things are good, when his career is booming, when he's driving a nice car, when the money is flowing, when the spotlight is on him. Loyalty is easy in those moments. But what about when the spotlight fades? What about when he doesn't have everything together? What about when he's chasing a dream that's taking longer than expected? Or when he takes a loss? Or when he has to rebuild? That's when loyalty is tested, and that's when your role as a woman truly shows. A man pays attention to whether you are clapping for him when nobody else is. He notices if you're the one still cheering when his friends doubt him, when his family questions him, when society tells him he's not good enough. He's not just listening to your words, he's reading your actions. Do you stand next to him with the same energy when he's down as you do when he's up? Do you keep believing in his vision even when the world can't see it yet? That is loyalty. And when a man finds a woman who has it, he feels like he's found gold. Loyalty also shows up in how you protect him. A man needs to know that when he's not in the room, you're not tearing him down, you're not exposing his weaknesses, and you're not putting his struggles on display. Instead, you're covering him, protecting his image, and making sure people see the man you believe he can become. That kind of loyalty builds trust at a level nothing else can. Because a man knows the world will test him, the world will criticize him, the world will try to break him, but if his woman has his back, that gives him the courage to keep standing. And let's be real, loyalty is tested the most when things get hard. Maybe he loses his job. Maybe he's trying to start something new and it's taking longer than expected. Maybe he's battling challenges inside himself that you don't fully understand. In those moments, he's going to notice whether you stick by him or whether you start pulling away. If you start comparing him to other men, if you start making him feel like less because of the season he's in, he will never forget that. But if you stand firm and remind him that you're still with him, that you still see greatness in him, that you still believe his time is coming, then you have passed one of the hardest tests a man can ever give. Loyalty is also about how you handle opportunities for distraction. It's easy to stay loyal when no one else is paying attention to you. But when attention comes your way, when other men start showing interest, when life offers you the temptation of something new, that's when loyalty is revealed. Do you keep your eyes on your man, or do you let your head turn? A man doesn't have to catch you in the act to know where your loyalty stands. He reads your energy. He notices how you carry yourself, and he knows if you are truly committed. The truth is, loyalty builds security in a man's heart. It tells him that he doesn't have to be perfect to be loved. It tells him that he can stumble and still have someone by his side. It tells him that he can dream big without worrying if you'll quit on him before the dream comes to life. And when a man feels that kind of loyalty, he won't just love you. He will fight for you, protect you, and give you the very best of himself because he knows you stood by him when you didn't have to. Independence is one of those quiet tests men give without ever announcing it. A man wants to see if the woman he's with can stand on her own 2 feet, if she has her own drive, her own goals, her own strength, and her own sense of identity apart from him. This doesn't mean a man doesn't want to provide, doesn't want to protect, doesn't want to take care of you. In fact, most men feel proud when they can step into that role. But what a man does not want is to feel like he adopted somebody who can't function without him. He wants a partner, not a dependent. And so he'll test to see how independent you really are. A man will watch how you handle yourself when he's not around. Can you manage your responsibilities, or do you fall apart without his constant help? Can you handle your own business, or are you waiting for him to carry everything? Independence is attractive because it shows a man that you are with him by choice, not by necessity. It tells him that you don't need him to survive. You want him to be part of your life. That difference makes all the difference in the world, because a man respects a woman who chooses him out of love rather than clings to him out of desperation. Independence shows up in the way you pursue your own growth. Do you have dreams, passions, and goals that belong to you? A man pays attention to whether you're chasing something for yourself, whether it's a career, a skill, a vision, or even just personal development. When he sees you have ambition, It motivates him to push harder. A man doesn't want to feel like he's dragging someone through life. He wants someone running beside him, someone who can add to the journey, someone who brings her own strength to the table. And here's the thing, independence doesn't mean you don't need a man at all. It doesn't mean you never lean on him. And it doesn't mean you're cold or detached. Real independence means you can stand strong, but you still allow space for him to lead, to contribute, to pour into you. It's a balance. If you're too dependent, he feels smothered. If you're too independent to the point of shutting him out, he feels unnecessary. But if you have that healthy independence where you can thrive with or without him, that's the sweet spot. That's when he knows he's got a woman who is whole, complete, and powerful in her own right, and that makes him admire you on another level. Men also test independence by how you react when they can't give you everything you want in the moment. If his money is tight, do you lose respect for him, or do you step in and handle things yourself until he gets back on his feet? If he's busy building something, do you guilt him and make him feel like he's failing, or do you hold it down while he focuses on the grind? That's independence. It's not about doing everything alone. It's about being capable enough to carry weight when needed without resentment. A man notices how you carry yourself in public too. Do you walk in confidence, knowing who you are, or do you always wait for him to define you? Independence is visible in your energy. It's in how you speak, how you dress, how you treat people, how you present yourself. When a man sees that you don't crumble under pressure, that you can stand in any room with strength, he feels proud to have you by his side, because it means you are not just an extension of him, you are a force all by yourself. And let me tell you, independence makes love stronger because it takes away fear. When a man sees that you can make it on your own, he knows you're not with him just because you're stuck, just because you have no choice, or just because you can't stand alone. He knows you're with him because you truly love him. That knowledge gives him freedom. It allows him to give without feeling used, to provide without feeling pressure, to love without second guessing. Independence tells a man, I don't need you to complete me, but I choose you to walk with me. And that is one of the most powerful messages a woman can ever send. Trust is one of the greatest tests a man will ever give, and many times it won't look like a test at all. Men might not sit you down and ask you directly, but they are paying close attention to see whether or not they can trust you with their heart, their struggles, their weaknesses, and even their dreams. A man may look tough on the outside, he may carry himself like nothing bothers him, but deep inside, every man wants a safe space where he doesn't have to wear the armor all the time. He wants to know if the woman in his life is that safe place. Trust doesn't get built in the big dramatic moments. It's built in the small things. A man will watch if you take the little details he shares with you and keep them private, or if you run and tell everybody else. If he tells you about something that's bothering him, does it stay between the two of you, or do you use it later in an argument to cut him down? That's a test, because the moment a man feels like what he gives you in confidence can be used as a weapon against him, he'll stop sharing. And when he stops sharing, the relationship loses its depth. Men test trust through vulnerability. Most men don't open up easily. They're conditioned to be strong, to hold it together, to act like nothing shakes them. But if he ever takes that mask off and shows you the side of him that doubts, the side that fears, the side that hurts, he's giving you one of the biggest tests of all. What you do in that moment matters more than you know. If you laugh, dismiss, or make him feel weak for sharing, he will never forget it. But if you listen, if you support, if you make him feel safe in that space, he will begin to see you as someone he can trust with everything. Trust is also tested in your consistency. Men notice if your actions match your words. If you say you're loyal, but your behavior looks different, that's a red flag. If you promise to be there, but you disappear when it's inconvenient, that's a signal he can't depend on you. Trust isn't just about keeping secrets. It's about showing up the way you say you will. Every time you follow through on your word, you build trust. Every time you break your word, you weaken it. And once trust is broken, it is one of the hardest things to get back. Another way men test trust is by observing how you handle their flaws. No man is perfect, and deep down he knows it. When he makes mistakes, when he comes up short, when he disappoints you, he notices how you react. Do you hold his mistakes over his head, never letting him grow past them? Or do you correct him with love, giving him the space to improve while still believing in him? That's a test of trust too. A man needs to know that his shortcomings won't be turned into permanent scars in your mind. Trust also shows up in how you carry the relationship in public. Do you represent him well when he's not around? Can he trust that you're honoring the relationship even when no one's watching? A man may never say it, but he's paying attention to how you move, how you interact, and how you set boundaries with other people. He wants to know if he can trust that his woman is his woman, whether he's standing next to her or not. When a man realizes he can trust you, something powerful happens. He relaxes. He stops holding back. He stops guarding himself. He gives you deeper love, greater access, and a version of himself that no one else gets to see. Trust is not just a test. It's a gateway. Past that test, and you open up a level of connection that most relationships never reach. Fail that test, and you might still have a man physically, but you'll never have his whole heart. And that's the truth men rarely put into words, but always feel in their spirit. Consistency might not sound exciting, but for a man, it's one of the biggest tests of all. A man can fall for beauty, he can get drawn in by charm, he can be impressed by your words, but what makes him stay, what makes him invest, what makes him trust you with his future is consistency. Men notice if the way you love them on day one is the same way you love them after day 100, after year 1, after year 10. They want to see if your actions match your promises, not just once in a while, but over and over again. A man pays attention to patterns. He notices if you are only sweet when you want something, if your love shows up when it's convenient, if your energy changes depending on who's around. Inconsistency breeds doubt, and doubt kills relationships. When a man feels like he can't predict your love, when he feels like one day you're all in and the next day you're distant, he begins to hold back. But when he sees consistency, when your words, actions, and energy line up day after day, it creates security. He knows he can count on you. And that's one of the strongest feelings a man can have. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. Nobody is perfect, and no man is expecting you to never have a bad day. But consistency means that even in your bad days, your love doesn't change. Your respect doesn't disappear. Your loyalty doesn't vanish. Your patience doesn't crumble. It means he can trust that the foundation is solid, even if the mood shifts. That kind of steadiness is rare, and men test for it because they know without it, a relationship won't last. A man may test your consistency by watching how you handle challenges. Do you only support him when things are easy, or do you stand by him when things get hard? Do you speak encouragement only when he's winning, or do you still speak life into him when he's struggling? Those are tests. He notices whether your effort is temporary or long-term. Many people start strong, but they don't finish strong. Men don't just want to see how you begin, they want to see if you can sustain. Consistency also shows up in how you love. Anybody can show passion in the honeymoon phase, but real consistency is when you still show that same passion after years have passed. Do you still show appreciation, or do you start taking him for granted? Do you still do the little things that made the relationship special, or do you get lazy because you feel secure? Men want to know if you will keep choosing them every day, not just in the beginning. And here's the truth. Consistency builds trust faster than promises ever will. You can tell a man 1,000 times that you love him, but if your actions don't keep proving it, the words won't matter. On the other hand, even if you don't always say it, if your actions show it daily, he will never doubt you. That's how powerful consistency is. It turns love from a feeling into something solid, something reliable, something a man can build on. A man who sees consistency in a woman sees a future. He sees stability, he sees partnership, he sees someone who won't switch up when the seasons change. He knows life will bring storms, but he also knows his woman won't abandon ship when things get rough. And that's the kind of assurance that makes a man commit with his whole heart. Consistency might not be flashy, but it is the glue that holds everything together. And when you pass that test, you don't just win his attention, you win his trust, his respect, and his lifelong devotion.